Good evening and welcome to Danielle Speaks. I am so glad that you all are able to join in with us on this afternoon. Listen, or this evening. This has been a great week for myself coming back off spring break. I don't know who all has been on spring break, but it has been great. However, I picked up a bug. Yeah, that I did get a cold over the spring break. So, I'm just giving a preference, a prerequisite here in what's getting ready to happen is if I start to feel like I'm going to start coughing, you're going to see me remove myself from the screen. But guess what? I have two wonderful guests that are going to be with us on tonight. My two guests are here and they're going to be able to continue until I can get back without coughing and hacking like a maniac when I get overheated. So just wanted to throw that in there. And now that, as my niece said, it was going to take me 5 minutes to tell you guys that I'm done with it because she did tell me that that's what's going to happen. Listen, I'm so glad you guys are here. And thank you so much for joining in with us tonight. We're discussing a big, great topic. It is a necessary topic and the topic is suicide. This is the trauma series this month, and we wanted to hit on some major things that have happened in people's lives, what people are dealing with right now, and what people have dealt with in the past. And so, wanted to talk about suicide as part of the trauma series. And I cannot wait for us to hit it on. Now, some things are going to be shared that are going to be intimate for myself. I don't know if the guests have anything that they would like to share, but for me, this is a safe place because I made this a safe place for myself because I'm sharing my story. I'm sharing myself to the world because I am hoping and praying that the things that are shared here on Danielle Speaks is going to bless someone else, is going to help them heal, is going to help them better restore themselves, if that makes sense. So, without further ado, I'm going to bring in our two guests. One, my niece, Journey Christina, whom I love dearly. She's a sweetheart. She's one that I consider ripe for her age. Is that I don't know if that's a way to
Right?
say it. I don't know. Like well, you have a lot of knowledge for your age. That's a better way to
Okay.
put it. Don't say right.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say
Right
no.
doesn't sound like I'm not an apple.
You're not or an orange or whatever, grape, right?
Right.
Or whatever.
No.
But right for her age, y'all. This is crazy. But she is very knowledgeable and very seasoned, I believe, for her age. And I think that is partly because of how she's been reared. So thank you so much for joining us and to be able to share and help me push this stuff along. And when we talk about suicide, and last but not least,
Hmm.
my friend and brother Reginald Harris. He, oh God, y'all pray for me tonight.
Oh, Jesus. He done started.
He's gonna be
Woo!
on here with us as
Hey,
well.
Journey, I
And
see you. I see you like a plum. You see that? It's like a, you're like a.
oh God, and here we go.
You know what? I'm not even going to take the time to comment on that one.
Right, you're not
I'm
an
not.
apple, but you're a plum. That's funny,
You're a
Red.
plum.
Only you, bro. Only you. So listen, we're gonna get right into it though, because again, this is a serious topic. So y'all know that we all three of us can be jokey, and laughter is good for
Absolutely.
for the soul, and humor is also good in things. But this is
Right.
a serious topic, so we're gonna be serious, but we
Sure.
will laugh in
Yeah.
spots. I can
Right.
guarantee you that. So
Yeah.
take the laughter as part of a lightning to lighten up probably some of the moods
Mhm.
that we probably set some people in,
Right.
if you will, if that makes sense. Okay. So talking about suicide, now I already know that there are going to be some things that's going to be, if you will, heavy in talking about this topic. And because I love my niece so much, and we had a short discussion previously, and she had already started asking questions, and I was like, dude, like, don't do that. Like, we started talking, and then the producer was like, y'all doing the show before the show, like, y'all need to chill, like, don't do that. But it's the question that was asked was a question that was very prevalent. It was a needed question. It's a question that needs to be answered. But the thing is what is suicide? Now I know everybody knows what suicide is. It's when somebody harms themselves, right? with the goal of ending their life. They want to die. They're trying to die. They're trying to end it for whatever reasons, whatever purposes. And I did some research because I don't ever come out here, just by myself thinking that I know it all, because I do not. And let me say this, I am not a licensed counselor.
Oh
So
Lord.
let me throw that out there right quickly for everybody. None of us are. None of us are.
None.
So the
None.
information that we're going to be sharing and giving, I want you to take it with the heart of knowing that we're just trying to say some things, impart some knowledge and experiences maybe that we have that can help you. But at any time and any time that you feel necessary that you need to talk about it with somebody, please go to a licensed counselor, because they've been trained, they've been, given the oath to protect you and your rights and, all of that stuff. So we won't be messing this thing up. All right. That makes sense. That's good. So talking about suicide, talking about actually um, the harming of yourselves and doing the research. And I pulled up numbers from like 2019 where it says that suicide is the 10th leading cause of death overall in the United
Wow.
States. Not in the world, now in the United States. So I don't know where it sits in the
Wow.
world, but it's 10th in the United States. And it was claiming over the life of like 50,000 people. Um,
Wow.
that's y'all, that's a lot.
That's a
That
lot.
that is a lot.
That's a lot.
And
Yeah.
it's complicated, it's tragic, and it's often preventable. And
Mhm.
that's what we want to discuss, that preventable part,
Right.
because there are signs, there are warning signs of it. And a lot of time now there are warning signs, and then there are those subtle warning signs that is so masked. We talk about the mask that people wear. They're
Yeah.
so masked that you don't even know. Like, wait a
Yeah.
minute, like that person did that, or you tried to commit suicide. Like, not you. What was the
Yeah.
reasons why? Because you don't see it. Like, people don't show you. So when people attempt to harm themselves and to try to end their lives, what is usually happening is they're trying to um people try to avoid the terms like committing suicide, and successful suicide, or even failed suicide when referring to suicide, and suicide attempts, because they don't want to have that negative meaning towards it, right? But it is what it is. And so we need to deal with whys and the hows of getting to that point. um why trying to commit suicide, what was the reasons for doing it, why having suicidal thoughts. So I'm just going to go ahead straight off the rip, and I'm going to talk about myself for a minute, because
Okay.
in my book, Shame is Not the Plane, How Overcoming Pain Leads to Purpose, I talk about several things and several tragedies that I dealt with in my own life, where I felt that just put me in different spots and places, where I talked about things that led me to what I felt was a promiscuous lifestyle, to where the promiscuity was just this all over the place. And then where I had depression, where I felt, the left out and all of those different things. Yet the mask that I have, the mask that I wore, people didn't really see how deep it cut, like how
Mm-hmm.
far and how hurt I actually
Yeah.
was
Right.
doing these processes. I tell people all the time, like, I am an introvert, an extreme introvert. And nobody look at Reggie's face. Like, look at Reggie, like, no, you're not. Most people, and most people that know me,
Mm-hmm.
that know me, then they'll be like, yeah, you really are. But I'm an introvert. But because of things that have happened in my life, and from a younger age, because I had a conversation with someone like a couple of weeks ago. Matter of fact, it was after I did the last podcast, and we were talking, and the statement was like, how in the world are you an introvert? Like, when did you become an introvert? Like, da 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 da. And I'm like, dude, like, chill. Like, I've always been an introvert. You just didn't know. Like, and of course that person really should have. But introvert, but because of the things that I've been going through, I forced myself to be extroverted.
Mm-hmm.
So I forced myself to push myself out there, to be accepted, to want so much that everything. I just boom. I just like, yo, I'm Danielle. Here we go. Like, and that's what I did. So I pushed myself in an extroverted state. So even now, even though right this minute now I'm introverted, like I say all the time, I don't like the camera. I don't like to be in the forefront. I don't like taking pictures, like all of these things, which is so true about me. If I have to, I know how to flip it
Mm-hmm.
and to push myself out. And that's what a lot of people that have been in the suicidal thought category, that's what they've done. I
Right.
did that. So as I was growing up in my attempt to end my life, when I and I'm chuckling right now because I think about the situation and some of the things that I'm getting ready to say, and it's like for real, like no, yeah, I when I attempted, I was going through so much stuff, and I had already been um sexually assaulted prior to, and so I was just like, you know what, like I'm done. And then the responses that I had received from my family members, like from my father, with, you know, I was you as a father, like in my head as a father, when you tell your child, you tell your daughter that, okay, um your daughter tells you, like, because initially I said to my dad, because of a different circumstance, I was almost raped, right? And he was like, "That's what you get. That's like that's And I was just like, "Well, dang." I didn't tell him initially because I was like, "This dude gonna fight. He going to jail because repeatedly
Mm-hmm.
everybody knows that's what he does." But that was his. I know, right? But that was his response, and it killed me. Like, how in the world you my daddy and I'm telling that? So, well, suppose I actually was, and you didn't at that time, you not knowing it. And then later on, it was like, well, I was, dad, in a whole nother situation. And it was still like, I mean, it was a pause. That this time it was a wait, what? Well, it was still that type of thing. And I think about
Mm-hmm.
that and I go, how do you live with that when the person that you expect to defend you to the end, that's your first defense, your dad, right? He tells you something like that. So some things were going on that had already happened. The promiscuity was going on, like a whole bunch of stuff was going on. And then finally I got to the point to where I just felt like I just couldn't take it anymore. I couldn't take the fakeness, being extroverted, and trying to get people to see me, hear my voice, for me to try to take control of certain things, that I couldn't. And then when I didn't feel like I had any help or any surroundings, I was like, I'm about to end this. And I did something else. And this time when I did something, my dad acted like I was a grown adult when this occurred. And it was like he treated me like I was like 10, 5, 7, whatever. It was a younger, and I was like, this what you do to a kid, dude. I'm grown. Like, that's why I was saying in my head. I ain't said that to him because y'all know Peter Lee crazy.
Right.
Crazy in a good way. Like, so I go back and forth with, I say some things that has happened, but that's my daddy. So don't play. Like,
Yeah.
don't play. But it was like, oh my gosh. And at that moment, I was like, I'm done. I'm done. If I just die, then I wouldn't have to worry about anybody. No one has to worry about me. I wouldn't be a problem. You wouldn't have to look at me a certain way. And so what I did is I I started to I didn't withdraw from my family and friends, because that's a sign. I didn't do that. But the talking and thinking about death often, which is usually verbalized to somebody else, it was inner. I
Mm-hmm.
did it all the time. I kept doing it and I kept doing it. And finally, I took a bottle of pills, Tylenol, 500 milligram. It was a coated Tylenols because they had to go down easy. I couldn't take the ones that wasn't. But I took a
That's
pot,
not
and I
funny.
don't. It's not, but I'm just saying it's the truth, because okay, so I tried to take the other one. So I did a couple of the dry ones, but it was too dry. So Reggie
So you
looking
had
like,
to
what?
rationalize it.
So I
I
had to
can't.
Right.
rationalize
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I needed to do the ones that were coated, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Right.
took this bottle of
You meant
pills,
that
y'all.
thing.
I mean, yeah,
I
that's
mean,
my
for
point.
God's sake, I
So
mean,
I
coated
meant
versus
it,
dry.
right?
Right.
I mean,
But I meant it, and I took
Yeah.
the bottles of pills, And then guess what? We was getting ready to go when I took the bottles of pill. Church Sunday morning. We going to church.
Right.
So we get to church, and I was playing the organ. We sitting organ. I'm sitting on the organ. And the pastor, I can see the pastor this way, and the missionaries and stuff were seated on this side. And my mom is a missionary, so she was seated right here. And I literally, my body started shaking, like shaking really, really hard. And when I started shaking, the immediate thought was like, "Girl, you about as dumb. You know, took a whole bite. You ain't trying to die. Like, I don't want to die." And so I was shaking, and my mom was always somebody that is visual on me because y'all, if y'all don't know me, my facial expressions are horrible. So my mom
Mhm.
will always look at me and be like, "Fix your face, girl. Fix your face." Because, when dumb stuff happened, I mean, my face showed it. And my mom looked at me and I locked eyes with her and I said, "I don't want to die." And she was like, "Huh?" And I said it again, and I was just shaking. Like, I can't shake the way I was shaking now because I ain't drugged up. But I was like, "I don't want to die." And my mom grabbed me, and then we went into the pastor's office. It was one of the other mothers in the church, and the pastor came in there, and I told them what I did. My mama was like, "Oh my God, like you did this thing." And my dad came in there, and when they said what my dad did, my dad looks at my mom and said, "I told you. Didn't I tell you she was gonna try to do something after that? I told you she was gonna." And in that moment, I was like, "You know what? Just die, girl. Just die. Because it doesn't even matter. I could kill myself." And in the moments of things that was going, it was just like, it just doesn't matter. And so I sat there and it was like, well, y'all, ain't nobody call an ambulance.
Right, I'm about to say they didn't take you to the hospital to pump your
They
stomach,
ain't
nothing?
nobody call the ambulance. Ain't nobody try to get my stomach pumped or nothing. Like I was just
Mm,
sitting there.
mm.
I'm trying. I drank something. I don't know if it was milk, water. Like they were like giving me something to drink or whatever, whatever. Sat in the office. Service went through service. They ain't no, we ain't left the church. Went through service, and we were on the Stutch Road. So I don't know if we were taking somebody back to the assisted living facility or not. But we was on that road and we was coming back, and all of a sudden I needed to throw up,
Mm.
and I started throwing up. The dad put on the side of the road, and I started throwing up, and I kept throwing up till it was just lime green and all of the colors of it was just throwing up and throwing up and that's how I detoxed.
Wow.
Oh,
Ain't that
Wow.
something?
that's something. Yeah.
And I said all of that to say, you know, I had the pressures and the trauma and the burdens and all of the things that was going on and the things that I felt. I'm gonna say this, and it's gonna be like such an oxymoron, but from a loving family,
Mhm.
because it's a loving family. My niece is on here. We got a loving family. So
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
do.
and Reggie's on it. He know
Yeah.
it's a loving family, but the
Yeah.
traumas, the generational curses, the traumas that others in
Yeah.
the family had that just kept flowing and following and coming, it started to pile up. And when you don't deal with those things, that stuff that we talked about before, then it builds up. You don't know how to deal. And so one of
Yeah.
the things is that I talked about, even with this situation with the sexual molestation or sexual assault, rather, and the thing that happened with, the way my dad reacted, it was like, could it be? Now, I'm not saying this happened to him because I don't know, but could it be something that happened to him?
Right.
Mhm.
He didn't know how to respond.
Right.
He don't know. He wants to protect me, but he couldn't. All of these things now I think about,
Mhm.
but I never thought about it back then, and it pushed me to the edge. So then I started to display all of these different signs within myself, because again, in me, the introvert, all of the signs were there,
Yeah.
but I just didn't, because I didn't want anybody to feel
Obligated to help you.
obligated to help me or to
Mhm.
feel bad for me. Well, I didn't even think
Right.
anybody was gonna feel bad anyway. But I didn't want anybody to feel bad because I
Right.
mean it's like, okay, once I'm gone, everything will be okay. Blah blah
Yeah.
blah. Y'all interject or stop question anytime y'all feel the need to, because I just keep talking and y'all know I don't like to be talking to myself.
Right.
So y'all, if you feel something to say, say it. Just say it. All right. But yeah, so this warning signs. So warning signs would be when people are talking about being a burden on others. Bam. So I did that. I talked about being a burden on other people. I didn't withdraw from family members, but withdrawing from family members, when you start giving away your important that assets, and you start saying goodbye to people and your family members, and you start thinking about death, and you taking great risks that can
Mhm.
lead to death. You want to
Mhm.
I'm gonna go on the people know I don't like to go on the roller coaster. I'm gonna go on the roller coaster. And then you
Mhm.
like, girl, why you going? And and your brain go, when you get to the top, I'm gonna jump off. Like, I'm just saying that I
Yeah.
didn't think to do that, but I'm just saying
But you know what?
go ahead.
I want to say, even with those signs, not they're not always displayed like outwardly. Like you said, your introverted
Right.
self, you display them to yourself. But for my experience, I didn't even know I had signs because I
Mm.
was in denial about my attempt.
Ooh.
Well, the second one, the first one, I knew good and well what I was doing, which was a mess. But the second one, I was in denial.
Wow.
Um, because in my mind, I wasn't in a suicidal space. I just happened to be in the tub and my head went under the water and I couldn't breathe no more.
I'm not
Right,
laughing, but
right,
I just
exactly.
Reggie turned his
Because
head like exactly, like
right,
I
right.
just happened
No,
to
yeah,
go down.
right,
Wow.
exactly. Because right, but that's how I tried to rationalize, not even trying to look at, no, you purposefully ran this water in this tub, filled it up, got in, and let your body go. First of
Right.
all, I don't swim. I don't know
At
how to
all.
swim.
At
I
all.
don't go to the pool for none of that.
Right.
I got in my tub and just let go. And I was down there for a good 7 minutes.
When you did
Now,
that, so my question, and I know you said you didn't realize
Wait,
that you
did she say
go.
down there for 7 minutes? Down where? Under the water?
under the water, yes.
You can
Now,
hold your breath real good.
no, but here's the
Like, you
thing,
can
I
hold your
wasn't
breath real
trying
good.
to, and
Right.
but here's
I
the
was
thing,
gonna
I
say.
wasn't trying to. I wasn't
Got
holding my breath. I
Girl, how
let
you
myself
survive?
go.
The Lord.
Here's,
Never
it
mind.
was no, it was God, and I'm
Yeah.
telling you, and this is how I realized I was in denial. I was under there because you can have 9 minutes before your body starts to shut down and your brain needs without oxygen. That's the normal person.
Mhm.
And so I was under that water, just whatever. At the 7 minute mark, I heard God clearly. Journey.
Mhm.
I was at the house alone, by the way. Journey. I sat up, like, oh, oh. And then it just hit me. It hit me like a load of bricks. Like you just tried to kill yourself.
Right.
Like, what? I didn't know. I didn't know I was suicidal. I didn't know I was depressed. And then I relived all of it. And there were months from the traumas that I did not address that were my signs that
Wow.
I should have seen and
Right.
that I would have expected people around me to see. But I'm that person. I'm an extroverted introvert, an ambivert. I can
What
be
kind
the
of vert?
extrovert,
Amber.
ambivert,
Amber.
Ambivert.
ambivert.
Yeah.
I can be the
That's what that is.
extrovert,
See, I be
right?
learning new words every day. Ambivert. Write that word down. Put it in
I
the
can
chat.
be the extrovert whenever I need to. Like you
Right.
said, I can do it perfectly well. But most people don't see the side of me that is the introvert, that is when I'm alone, the only child part of me, when I'm in my own space.
Okay, only child Reggie.
And that it it shook me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I told my mom, I was like, I need to talk to somebody. I didn't tell her about that attempt then. As a matter of fact, I don't think I told her about either of them until maybe 5 years ago. Because I knew her reaction would have been, I don't even know, because I know she wasn't in a place to hear
To hear it.
me
Right.
and to process.
Wait, hear me in meaning hear the traumas, or or hear you in the fact to say, hey, I tried to in my life.
Right. And then not make it about, but I'm your mama. I should have known. I should have been there for you.
Gotcha.
Because
Right.
Gotcha.
while of course, that's the natural parent response,
Sure.
I would want her to respond, what can I do for you? Not what should I have, what do I do for myself to make you better? You know? Does that make sense?
It
Yes,
does.
absolutely.
Right.
I didn't want her to make it about what she did wrong,
Right.
because
Right. Right.
in those senses it wasn't her, and that I had to work through. So I was like, I gotta talk to somebody.
It's interesting that you said that. And so I know we're talking about suicide, but even with things that have been brought out from this book, that has been the ringing tone right now, just recently,
Right.
is the why didn't I know? Like, I
Mm-hmm.
should have known. What could I have done? And it's like, mm, just like you said, this some of these things, though I use my mom for an example. My mom did not directly um, do things to me, if I could say it that way, right?
Right.
But in one instance where, like, I would talk about the things that my dad would say, the belittling, you're sorry, you ain't gonna be nothing, blah, 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 blah. I'm hearing it from my father, who is a parent, right? But
Right.
I don't hear my mother, who is a parent, say, hey, don't do that. Now, it's not saying that she didn't hear or heard, or that she absolutely heard in the conversations that we've had. She's like, I definitely know that's a Peter Lee thing. Like, it's like, yeah, I'm sure he said it. So she didn't negate anything that I said. But then it
Mm-hmm.
was, but I didn't do it indirectly. My thing was this, is that even though you did not say it to me directly, like you were the one saying the words, as my parent, and me looking at the weight of this, my daddy, you, my mama, and I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, well, you ain't saying nothing against it, so you agree.
Yeah.
I'm a child. So
Right.
this is the child thought. So both of y'all doing it because you ain't saying nothing against it. Y'all, y'all unified. Cause I be telling my kids, me and your daddy, girl, we a unified front.
I can't.
Y'all can't go over here and say, Daddy, can I have a cookie? And he don't say, well, your mama say, especially if we in the house together. Cause then,
Yeah.
if I said no, then don't play. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. So being in a unified front there. So now when you say, you didn't know how your mom was going to react in regards to saying, like, okay, well, what could I have done?
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the hardest thing, I think, for people to, when they address things,
Right.
because in the
Right.
addressing, it's and I'm going to say, like, the response of, like, my mom with the, well, I didn't say it. It wasn't an attack. It is, and it's never that it's like they're trying to say, like, well, I ain't say it, so I shouldn't have a cloud over my head, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
because it wasn't me.
Like,
Is
nobody said you had a cloud,
nobody said you had a cloud, and nobody
but
said
if
it
you
was
feel that
you.
way, then you gotta address yourself.
Right.
I'm just.
That's
Right.
but that's true. If you feel like, you got to address yourself, but you can't hold anybody accountable for something that they didn't know. I said it in the
Right.
book,
Right.
and I say now,
Right.
if you don't know anything, I can't hold you accountable.
Right.
So
Right.
if you feel like you didn't know, then you're not held accountable for it. But when you're saying something to somebody, my response, or your response, when I'm getting the response from you, should not be, now this is the response, as you said, Journey. You It is not about whether or not what you should have done.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Right.
now, what are you going to do to help me?
Right.
Right.
Like,
Right.
how can you help me through this now? Because this happened, and so I need help.
Right.
I need help. And now I'm crying out loud, real loud.
Mm-hmm.
When you tell somebody, yo, I tried to X myself.
It makes it real,
It makes it
Right.
for real.
real. And
Right.
now
Yeah.
you got to deal with the situation. And the
Mm-hmm.
individual that you tell, the person that you go through to rely on, to take, what's the word I'm looking for?
To confide in.
Confide, that's the word. The person that you want to confide in, and you tell them, then your expectation is that that person is going to be there to help you get through the process and to help you heal, to get you some help.
Yes.
Mhm.
Help.
Right. Right.
And so that's what we're trying to deal with now, because I promise you that there are going to be people that may listen to this that have been there, still in this space, right? And they're looking for help. They're looking for a way to get out. They want to talk about the feelings. They want to share with somebody. They want to do counseling, but they don't want to be looked at to say, too, that I'm going to counseling. Now everybody think I'm a quack.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the word? That's the right word that people say,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah, because people think that people that go to therapy is crazy. Let me tell you
Right.
something.
Right.
You are not crazy. In fact, you are the most sane person
Right.
to get
Absolutely.
Right.
help than the
Right.
people
Right.
that
Right.
suffer without
Right.
ever
Right.
having help. Because I'll
Absolutely.
tell you right now, I will quickly call, text, email my counselor. I got her number on speed dial,
Speed down. I'm
literally,
sorry.
because it's no reason to go through life or to go through these traumas and these situations without anybody.
Right.
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 You need an outlet. Like, yeah,
Absolutely.
okay. I think we also need to talk about, praying in the church in
Absolutely.
conjunction with this. But that sometimes is not enough because you need a human to human conversation
Right.
that is not over spiritualized to the point where it takes you out of the emotional and mental and physical aspects that you're going through.
You just
Absolutely.
said that we need to bring in like the praying and stuff in the church. And Yolanda just said Jesus plus therapy equals healing and
Yes.
wholesome.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Wholesomeness, because I am a firm believer that for my first of all, I don't know how many pills was in the bottle, but it wasn't no empty bottle, if you will. All right.
Okay.
So I should have been gone. I did not get taken to the hospital to get my stomach detoxed and pumped out. I should have been gone. Like I think about it, and it's like, God, what is the purpose? Why you left me in? Well, first of all, I've been begging, Lord, please don't let me die. Cause this is not the way. This is I ain't. First of all, I was
Right.
not saved at all. Christ was nowhere near. Oh no, I wasn't. No, and I'm saying that because I know myself. People be like, "Oh,
Hmm.
you probably was." No, 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 no. I was going to church. I've known church my entire life, and I was just in the routine of going. But God was
Hmm.
not in me. I went to Him, but He ain't been coming to me. Well, He was. He was there. He was there. He was standing because He said He knocking, but I ain't let Him in. I ain't do it.
Right.
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 Right. Right.
So I don't I no, it was that was not good. And I was
Right.
like, oh and people talk about, what you still because I was thinking about it, right? Or I was able to talk or whatever, whatever. You had that moment to where you could probably had confess your sins and then you would have probably make it in. Kiki, Chabai. I mean, and I'm not saying that don't happen for people, but I'm just saying my mental state, I know Danielle, it would have probably taken a little bit more
Because you know where
Right.
you were.
because I
Yeah.
knew
Right.
where I was, right?
Hmm.
Right.
So that is crazy.
Danielle,
Talk.
may I
Yes, no.
I
Share,
want to add
interject.
this
Go ahead.
right there, and that is, I'm not saying much because I think y'all bring me in for the theological concepts of all
Yeah,
of
we
this.
did. Oh
But
yeah.
but I wanted to say this. One of the things that's so interesting to me about and I'm going to use the term spirit of suicide just for the sake of saying this.
Absolutely. Yes.
Um uh
It's a
that
spirit.
yeah, the spirit of suicide is that um it's so interesting. You said it a little bit at the very beginning. That is the subtlety of suicide.
Right.
Hmm.
Because and I don't know if I've ever shared this publicly. Lord have mercy. And that is
It's a safe
about
space.
6 years ago. I suffered for 2 years from depression.
Wow.
Hmm.
Um, and I did not know it was depression until I looked at myself and understood that something was really wrong with my catch this my response to life,
Hmm.
because you're talking um I had the quote unquote American dream.
Uh-huh.
You know what I
Uh-huh.
mean?
Yeah.
Um I had, spouse, I had beautiful daughter, I had a house, we had vehicles, I had a career. I had all those things that would define quote unquote success. But what's so interesting to me, and let me share this with you. One of the things I found out is this about the what I call let me say this. I'll say it like this, and that is what I found out. Those of us who are Pentecostal, we use the phrase "spirit of" a lot. With
Uh-huh.
Hmm.
some with some when somebody can't stop lying, we say they got the spirit of lying. If
The
somebody
spirit of
came
Right.
about
lying.
fornicating, they got a
The spirit
fornicating
of
spirit,
fornication. Yeah, 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 yeah.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
And it's so interesting. That's why we need, and I guess I'll slide this in real quick. That's why we have to be intelligent in the word and know God's word,
Come through.
because
Hmm.
the stuff that we attach spirit of to, the Bible doesn't call it spirit of nothing. It calls it the works of the flesh. Okay.
Come through, sir.
Well, and that's the reason sometimes we're not delivered in certain aspects, is because we're trying to make it spiritual when it's really, in other words, and I'll just use fornication since I just said it. So it's not a spirit of fornication. It's just you needing to keep your stuff up.
That's right.
Stop calling him and stop emailing or texting them. That would help you as it relates to what's going on. Now, I said that to say this. In order to deal with this spirit of suicide,
right?
And I say spirit of suicide because it's the same thing. Remember what Paul told them, that God has not given us the
spirit of fear.
So there's a spirit of suicide that generally comes from that spirit of fear. It's a product of it, because
come on, you talking, sir?
It's a product of fear. When I say fear, and see, I've never, you were talking about pills, Journey was talking about the tub, all of that. I've never attempted suicide physically. Hear me.
Oh,
I
you
never
about to go.
attempted suicide physically, but I would pray before I went to sleep at night. I would tell God, it's okay if I die.
Yeah.
Y'all ain't saying
you preaching, sir. You preaching for real.
I would pray to God and say, God, thank you for this. You know what we do. Thank you for this day. Thank you for this. Thank you for that. Bless this, bless that. And I'll say, it's okay if you want to take me before I wake up. And see, that's what I call psychological, if you will, or emotional suicide. I did not have the nerve to take a knife to my wrist. I did not have the nerve to take pills as you tried, or to certainly not to do the bathtub, because I think in my head that take too long.
Right.
So I never, but I would ask God to murder me.
Yeah. Oh, that's not good. Ooh.
I would ask God not to allow me to wake up, because I knew that my only peace was when I was asleep.
Wow.
So
Reggie.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, bruh. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
I know.
All right, keep
I
talking.
know. You remember you asked me to be here. I
know. I did. I asked.
So what I wanted to mention is, we've got to know, and I want to, because we're going to kind of blend that in. I think it's based on what you're saying. I want to just give you this too, and somebody can put it in the chat if they choose. And these are the 3 levels of emotional satanic attack, and that is oppression, depression, and possession. Okay.
The 3 levels of emotional
depression, possession. And these are going to be very elementary definitions, okay? I could go deeper, but these are just going to be elementary definitions.
Say it one more
time. Oppression is when the devil is on you. Depression, which is what I had, is when the devil is with you. Possession, y'all know that one.
We know.
Is when the devil is in you.
Gotcha.
All right. And unfortunately, catch this, most of us know how to deal with the last one. He got the devil in him. Loose here. You know, we want to cast the devil out. But see, that's not where most of us are in our demonic attack. It's not about being possessed by the devil or the devil being in us. It's that devil being with you.
Yeah.
The voice.
The
edge, the little shove, the little push.
Yeah.
The tip over, if you will, of where you are. That's where the enemy is so, as the Bible calls it, the wiles of the devil. That's where he's so strategic, I'll say, as it relates to that. Because remember, that's why when somebody asked me, one of my young people asked me in youth ministry, is suicide a sin? Right? And
yeah, but come on. Well, God condemned someone to hell because of suicide.
That's what I want to know.
Really, what they were asking me, not was suicide a sin, because I personally think that's pretty obvious. If me killing you is a sin, surely me killing myself is a sin. Come on.
I say, yeah.
So I mean, that's pretty. But what they're really asking me is, catch this, is suicide an unpardonable sin?
Mm-hmm.
Will you be forgiven for
Hmm.
that sin? Or I should say, can you be
Can you be?
forgiven for the sin of suicide? Now,
I
let
gotta.
me
I
say
want
this.
go.
Please stay. Go ahead.
No,
Go
I
ahead.
would
Go ahead.
no, because I was talking. We were talking earlier, right?
Uh-huh.
And one of the things that I said earlier, with that, because you hear it all the time, you commit suicide, you're going to hell, or it's a sin. You're killing. You can't kill. The Bible says, "Thou shalt not kill." Right. So if you're killing, you're committing that you go it's bad. And
Mhm.
so you look it up and you look at Bible scriptures, and I was looking at scriptures that says, like, First Corinthians 3:16 and 17, so it says, um do you not know that you are God's temple and that God's spirit dwells in you? If anyone
Mhm.
destroys God's temple, and this is the English Standard Version, God will destroy him, for God's temple is holy and you are that temple. Like, and
Mhm.
there are several other scriptures that would lead in
Yeah.
that way. So my thing was, my example, if you will, I was like, well, I think about Samson. And when Samson was killing the 10,000 plus
Mhm.
Philistines, however you want to call it, he pulled
Mm-hmm.
down the pillars. Certainly, he knew he was going to die. Now, did he commit suicide by doing so? By doing what God had given him to strength to do, because he's supposed to slaughter them people and things. Did he commit suicide, and was his suicide, if that's what he did, was it pardoned? No, Journey, put your
Wait,
hand down.
wait,
No, no,
wait,
no,
wait,
no. Put your
wait. I want to ask this
no,
question.
no.
Wait, wait,
What?
wait, wait, wait.
See,
In conjunction with your question,
don't mess my question up now,
I'm not
Reggie.
gonna mess. I'm not gonna mess it up. Listen.
Wait,
Oh,
wait. Wrong person. Okay, go. Talk, talk.
Oh, okay.
Go.
So if that is a point, or however I want to say it, then is the action of suicide based on motivation, or rather, would it be condemned based on motivation?
Huh?
okay.
Like,
Oh, Ricky. Wait. This question: did Jesus commit suicide?
That's a great
oh
question.
my God.
Ricky.
Because
Oh my
because
God,
Jesus,
Ricky. I don't
but
like you right now.
here's a good, that's a good point,
That
because
is a
Jesus
great point.
died for the
I
sins
have
of
No, no,
answers for
no.
all
everybody.
of that.
He didn't die. He gave himself.
Okay, he gave himself for the sins of everybody, but he knew that he was
He
giving
didn't die.
himself,
He knew he was gonna
killing
get killed.
himself.
But he didn't kill himself though. Somebody killed
Okay,
him.
well, okay,
No,
but
I have to
Oh, no,
say
wait.
this.
No.
he chose to let them.
Oh, this is good. Okay, wait. Y'all, we got to go back to the suicide and helping the people now. Okay,
But
go
we
ahead.
are
But
going to
answer
do
that.
that. But I think this needs to be defined. Let me
Right.
define some
Please
things before
define
you
it.
go on. And
Yes.
that is, biblically speaking, this is important to know. Biblically speaking, there's a difference between murder and kill. All right.
Okay.
The 10 Commandments that we say, thou shalt not kill, in the actual Hebrew, it actually says, thou shalt not murder. The reason I need us to know that is because if God says, not, thou shalt not murder, that implies, I heard the word motivation, I heard the intent, I heard all of those things. That's where murder comes. But kill, God often told his people to go kill folks. There were plenty of times, I mean, numerous times where
Oh, Reggie, you getting real technical with that one now.
I am
So,
being technical,
I
and it's
know. I
not a play
know.
on words because
Right.
because suicide is a murder of oneself.
Gotcha.
Hmm.
I see.
That's what I'm trying to
Uh-huh.
Oh.
get you to see. It is a murder of oneself. It is not,
Hmm.
because remember, the Bible consistently. That's why I want to get the. I don't want you to think I'm playing on words. It's a sure definition of the two. Because remember,
Oh.
throughout the Word of God, He tells us to kill our flesh. He
Hmm.
tells us to kill out the nature. When I say our flesh, our nature, that we have
Mm-hmm.
to die daily. Remember, he
Hmm.
tells us to do that. But when he uses the term murder, it's in regards to a sinful act to take the innocent. All right. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's why when there's suicide, that's a murder of oneself, of, catch this, an innocent act. because wherever you are in your emotions, whether it be because of something that was done or something that you think. Remember, I told you it's a product of fear. So those things are based upon the innocence of man. When I say man, not the gender, but the person of man who thinks one thing. Because remember, that's what suicide is. It's a permanent solution for a temporary issue. So therefore, when you have to know that difference between the difference between the murder
That
and
was
that's
good.
what
I heard
suicide
you.
is murder and it's not killing. All
Uh-huh.
right. So
Yeah.
that's why remember, that's why when I was telling you about the depression thing, no, that's why I said, remember my statement, I said I asked God to murder me. To murder me. In other words, God, I just want to be out of here. I don't care what the reasoning is. Because murder has no consciousness of the consequence. Huh? Those young men this past weekend, I was in Daytona Beach, but these young
Lord.
men who shot up, the mall and shot
Yeah.
up, and I heard some more murders. They go, you notice they always say murder. They don't say kill. They say murder because this is an act in where I don't care about the consequences. Don't you know when these folk when these folk murder somebody, they don't ask if they're somebody's father or somebody's dad or somebody's brother, all of that. They don't do that because they're murdering them, and that consciousness of murder says, I just want you not to exist any longer. And that's the whole idea there. So I just wanted to bring that consciousness is in there. And of course, later when you allow us to, Danielle, I want to deal with the whole, did Jesus commit suicide? Because that's a great question.
That's good. But we ain't gonna talk about that tonight. Cause that too, Ricky's boy. I love Ricky. Ricky is, let me tell you, that boy right there is good too. Let me tell you. All right. So going back to the whole thing then with the, will you be condemned to hell?
Right.
Will you be condemned because of suicide? Because you committed suicide.
Okay. And because that's what everybody wants to know. Because I was always
And
taught
let
when
me
I was
put
a
a pin,
kid.
right before you answer that. I'm sorry to cut you off, but right before you answer that, let me say this because I feel the need to do this. We're not giving y'all a way out.
Right.
If the
Oh,
answer
God.
sounds right for you, this is not a way out, people.
Right. Right.
What we're
No.
trying to do is we're trying to give some definitions, do some defining of some things,
Right. So you
talk
can
about these,
identify.
to identify, right? Because
Right.
we want to identify these things, the three levels of emotional satanic attack, all of these things, these depressors, the stuff that put you in depression, and all of these things that could lead you to suicidal thoughts. But we
Yeah.
don't want you to go there because, as Reggie said, it's a permanent solution for a permanent solution for a temporary situation. It's temporary. These
Right.
things that we go through can
Right.
definitely be temporary, and we want
Right.
to build out of it. But the question still lingers because I'm gonna say this, and a lot of time it lingers. And for one reason why is the asking for myself is too, is because you hear a lot of people, talk about that. Well, the person committed suicide, but they're going to heaven because they were a good person anyway.
Yeah.
Like that, all of those other factors
Yeah.
of it.
Right.
So that is one of the things. Thank you so much. Our producer put up the suicide hotline number. So
Great.
we got that information because we want you all to know that this is something serious.
Yes.
And I do know some counselors, licensed counselors,
Right.
professionals. So if
Good.
you need to talk to someone, please reach out. We'll get that information up for you. But thank you so much for doing that. So now, Reggie, answer that question for me, if you will.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was always taught that was one of the unpardonable sins, besides the blaspheming of the Holy Ghost.
Right.
Remember that, and then self murder or suicide, as we call it. Let me give you this. There's no biblical text or scripture that point blank says if you commit
Right.
suicide, it's unforgivable. Okay,
Right.
I want to make sure that's clear. However, what I do want to also say, and when it comes to forgiveness of sin, there's a process for that. Okay, a biblical process for
Right.
forgiveness.
Right.
Okay, now I can't judge from an act that that process did not take place. And what is the
Right.
process? Let me talk about it. The process is this, that, and again, I'm being very surface here. The
Right.
process of forgiveness is one, confession, two,
Mm-hmm.
asking,
Mm-hmm.
and then thirdly, that's what God does. He, in his mercy and his grace, he forgives us. And most people feel as though in most suicides, that process, that biblical process of forgiveness cannot be adhered to. Does that make,
Hmm.
in other words, if you now, the reason I question even that, what I just stated, is because look at Danielle. You took the pills. God blessed you and you did not die. But look, you took the pills and could have committed suicide, but you also came to an acknowledgement, what I just said, the first step of forgiveness, an acknowledgement that this was the wrong thing, and said, and could have very well said, you said it, I don't want to
Oh,
die.
yeah.
I don't want to die. God, forgive me for even the idea of wanting to take my life. Because see, you've already given your life, so I don't have to take mine.
Hmm.
Right. Right.
Oh,
That was
I need
good.
to
Yeah.
jot that down because I'm gonna
I,
shout
I'm
on that Sunday. Um, uh, glory. So therefore, um, even in that suicide attempt, you were able to get through the process of asking for forgiveness and then being forgiven. However, that's where that subjectivity, I guess you would call it, comes in when somebody does a certain thing. Because see, at the end of the day, let's be, and again, we're being really transparent and real here. If I get a gun, pow, there's probably not a whole lot of time of asking for of
Right.
confession and
Probably
asking
not.
for forgiveness.
Probably
Are you
not.
following me?
Right.
But under those circumstances, those particulars that we've been talking about, bathtub, pill taking, I guess if you, God forbid, if you slit your wrist, whatever, those type of things, there is time for asking. But guess what? In most cases, I would argue most people are not in a mindset as to whether I'm going to heaven or hell.
Can I
Right.
say something right there?
Sure,
Even
absolutely.
on that point, I saw a friend of mine, and this wasn't a suicide attempt, but a friend of mine. I think it goes along with this whole process of, do you have time?
Right.
Um,
Hmm.
she was in a car accident.
Mm,
In the car accident, she had some head injuries, right? She wasn't saved. She did not, she was able to tell us this later. Of course, thank God she's here, but not saved and everything. And people talk about the time that you have in that moment. That we don't know if you confess or not, so we're gonna go ahead and send you to heaven. Blah blah blah, whatever,
right, right.
whatever. She said she know good and well
She would have
she
gone.
didn't confess nothing,
Right,
because she was totally unaware of anything during the time that she was out.
right,
So there, even though she was alive, there was time. If you
Hmm.
right,
There was
right,
that time that you could say, "Oh, this is probably where you can give your." She was like, "There was no thinking. I didn't know nothing. Wasn't thinking nothing. There was no
right,
recollection. I like calling Jesus." She said none of that was
right,
taking place. All she knew is she was just out. So
Hmm.
right,
out, and
right.
she believed that the prayers of her mom and them, of course she was at the hospital and the doctor, whatever, but
Hmm.
still that helped. But other than that, she
Right,
said, her
right,
out of her mouth, had she died,
right,
she wasn't going to make it,
right,
because she had no time. There was no
right,
time for her. So now
right.
we go back to this whole thing of quote unquote time.
Time.
And
Right,
that's why I
right,
wanted to say that, because when you said that, it just phew,
right.
came right back to me. She said she didn't have she ain't had no time to do nothing. She had
And that's why
time,
all of
but
what
totally unaware.
that's why what
Yeah.
all you two ladies are saying in this conversation, in terms of recognizing, we call it signs, recognizing situations, understanding. Again, you never hear anybody talk about demonic oppression.
Hmm.
You either
Hmm.
hear possession, you may hear depression, but you hear almost nothing about oppression. And that's where I believe we miss it. That because, so remember, these are levels. Oppression
Yeah.
turns into depression.
Yes,
Yes.
yes,
Depression turns into possession. So
right.
if you start at that place where the devil is just on you, it's like he's you casting him away, you're praying, you're quoting your scriptures, you're whatever the power that God has given us as believers to deal with that, resisting him, the Bible says, and he
And
will
you
flee.
flee.
But guess
Mhm.
what? That happens at oppression.
Mm.
Because if you don't deal with the oppression of the devil, what happens is you become weakened in the process. And when
Mm.
depression hits, you have almost no strength to fight back.
That's the
Lord
part.
have mercy.
That's the
Huh?
part right there. That's good.
You have almost no strength to fight back. And remember, I said this in another situation. I can't remember if it was here or somewhere else. But sometimes we have that issue. I watch a lot of animal documentaries. Sorry,
I do
I
too.
love animal documentaries. And one of the interesting animals in the jungle is called the cheetah. He is the fastest running animal on mammal on the planet. I mean, he's been clocked up to 89, 90 miles per hour. That's incredible.
Mm.
Because the fastest a man can run is like 22.
A 23, yeah, something like that. Yep.
But the problem is a cheetah is fast but can't fight.
And they
Mm.
can't go, and they can't be fast but so long.
But they're fast, they can't fight because they exert so much energy
Energy. Gosh.
after their meal, to where the lion, who can't run nearly as fast, he just waits for the cheetah to catch the animal to eat and says, as soon as you catch it, I'm coming to take it
I'm coming to
away
take it,
because
bro.
you're too tired from the race.
Ooh,
Wow.
oh God, help me.
So while I saw you panting and running 89 miles an hour after this
Mm.
gazelle or this deer or what have you, guess what? I'm going to rest under this tree and wait till
Take
you're
my time.
done.
My.
And
Oh.
I'm going to come and take what belongs to, oh God, what belongs to you that you worked for, but you didn't know how to fight to keep it. And see, that's where the enemy will come in that oppressive state. He will be on you. Why everybody I contact with has something negative to say? Why
Mm.
every time
That's
I
it.
walk in,
That's it.
every time I walk into Walmart, the first person I get to in behind the line is negative, and the devil begins to get on you. He's always on me, telling me something, whispering something to me, sharing some bad news. Stay away from folk who ain't got nothing good to say.
Right.
Can I
Absolutely.
talk about that?
You
Huh?
talk about it. Talk
Nothing,
about it.
nothing good to say. You got to watch your connections, your affiliations, and
Mm-hmm.
those people, those text messages that are always negative, always got something bad to say. I mean, good gracious, how can you be mean and nasty at a circus? That's how some people are. They just got something negative to say. But where I'm going with this is we must deal with those places where the enemy, and I see the question of Brother Gilead, is it Gilead?
Gilliard. Gilliard.
Gilead. There as it relates, and I'll go ahead and deal with that if I may. The deal with oppression.
Sure.
How do we address suicide thoughts and uh,
Ideations.
ideations?
Yeah.
Oh, y'all deep, man. Y'all got some good work. Anyway, um, and that's what I want to talk about. That's why I could break down more specifically those three areas, but I just wanted a very simple definition of oppression, and that is the devil on you. Meaning that the devil, when I say the devil through people, the devil through situations, the devil through haven't you had a bad day?
Mm.
Right? And where
Right.
it seems like everything you did, every class you went to, every person you talked to on the phone, every head you did, Danielle, in the shop, it seems like, my God, how is it that all this is, why is all this negativity coming? Why am I connecting to all these areas? That's called oppression. In other words,
Mm-hmm.
that's the onslaught of the enemy to get you to a deeper place to where you don't want to live anymore. And so the
Jesus.
enemy will start oppressing you subtly. That's what word I want to keep talking about. So remember what the Bible says in Genesis. The Bible says that the devil, or I should say the serpent, catch this, was more subtle than any animal in the garden.
You know it. Yeah.
That's what the Bible says. He was more subtle. He had a more, and I love that word subtle, because what I get out of that word is he was more strategic.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
I was saying when you
He did
said
it a
subtle, I was
whole
like
lot more
strategic.
easy. He
Mm-hmm.
he he didn't come and say, "Girl, kill yourself." Of course not. Boy,
Right.
kill yourself. No. He does it now. Mind you, he may get to that level where
Right.
he thinks you are so weak to where I can scream at you and you'll do it.
Right.
But no, that's not how he's going to start. He's going to start with places of subtlety, and where you believe that, good Lord, all this keeps happening and it's never going to change.
Mm.
That's the voice of the enemy.
Mm,
That's the
It's
voice of the
never going
enemy.
to get better. It's never going to
mm,
change. It's always going to be like this. And matter of fact, it would be better if I just was not here.
mm.
That's it. And you said it so well just now in regards to the subtlety,
Right,
because literally that's exactly what it was for
right,
myself.
right,
Though again, being an introvert, but everything was just so and just like you said, every situation, all of a sudden, you attacking me again here. You
right,
attacking me again here.
right.
Well, why is this like this here?
Always something.
It's always something.
Right.
It didn't matter how extroverted I went out. It was
Hmm.
always something. I'm like,
Right.
well, God, no, I cannot like at
Can't
all,
catch a
I
like
break.
can't win. I
I
can't win.
can't
Right,
win,
right,
like for real. So I can't win. Why is it going on? And then all of a sudden you hear all these little cute things or key things he starts doing with the subtleness,
right,
So since you can't win, I mean, you think they even care about you? You think they
right,
even want you? And then you
right,
start hearing you ain't gonna be nothing. You
right,
ain't no good anyway. Well,
right,
since they already say you ain't gonna be nothing, obviously, you're not worth it.
right,
So I mean,
right.
why, And then you hear
What
like
difference is it going to make
what
that you're
dis
not here anyway?
what difference is it going to make? I mean, you might as well go ahead.
Right.
So you do those things, but I will say, because I want you to fully address the questions, or the how do you address the suicidal thought? So I'm going to give you the counselor type perspective. Again, I am not a counselor, but I'm going to give you
Hmm.
what are the actions that we should be taking to help
That's good.
someone in an emotional pain when we
Right.
start seeing it, what we need to do. And there are 5 things that we need to do: ask, keep them safe, be there, help them connect, and then stay connected. So ask how you going to ask them. Are you thinking? I mean, you got to just, sometimes you just got to come out and ask. You thinking about killing yourself? Because they're gonna, if you see enough signs. No, it's not an easy question, but the studies show that you ask an at-risk person or at-risk individual that's thinking about to do it, if they're suicidal, they're gonna actually say, well, yeah, they're gonna go ahead and tell you. So ask. You need to ask if they are. Keep them safe. How do you keep them safe? um Reduce their access,
Mm,
Mhm.
pull them
mhm.
away from stuff,
Good.
anything lethal, places that 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 has an important part of suicide preventions, like take them there or whatever, but disable them, like take away any weapons. Some people, like, I again I use pills, right?
Mhm.
So let me I'm gonna put a pin right there, because I'm
I
gonna go
use
back to,
prayer.
I you use prayer, right?
I
You use
use
prayer.
prayer. Yeah.
You ask God to do it.
Yeah.
I use pills. So this is what I do now in my house. All the pill bottles are somewhere you ain't about to have no access to.
Mm.
Cause for me,
Right.
my takeout plan was pills. You
Hmm.
understand? So you see where I am there. So I
Mm.
just thought about, so then so I start removing things. But that's a whole nother issue, Journey. I see you scratching your head, because that right there leads into something else. Okay, so keep them safe. Remove the stuff. Remove the knives, and remove anything that can make a person harm themselves or even harm somebody else. Because a lot of times before somebody commits suicide, if they're in a place like for myself, if I wanted to really take it there, if I wanted to alleviate the people. People do that and then they commit suicide. So you want
Yeah.
to make sure, if you know somebody that says yes, you ask them, you want to keep them safe, and then you be there.
Hmm.
Don't talk so much, but
Right.
listen
Right.
carefully.
Right.
Yeah.
Listen carefully to what the individual is thinking, to what they're feeling. And that definitely helps a lot. You got to let them talk, because sometimes letting them talk helps. Yes, Journey.
And I'll even say it's the nonverbal cues that speak louder than their words.
Right.
Yes.
Um, Body language,
I was
obviously,
about to say
Right.
body language.
and facial expressions. Well, me and you got it bad with facial expressions.
Yeah.
But a lot of times people's faces, when they're in that space, they're just flat.
Yeah.
Oh, they look like they're numb.
Right.
Um, I was that place, and then I put on the mask. did a little charade. Did a good job too. But anyway, that is a major thing because they are disconnected pretty much.
Yeah,
And a part of them, even though they're not physically gone, they're dead. A part of them is dead,
exactly. Because they're
and
already
you
at that
can
point.
see it. Yeah,
They're
you
already
can
at that
see it.
point. So you
Yeah.
have ask, you have to keep them safe, then you have to be there, and after being there, you have to help them connect. So helping them to connect, that's the crisis line that the producer put up there earlier. Having a crisis number, if you know in an individual that are counselors licensed that can assist and help them, you try to get them like even even a trusted family member, because say for
Mm,
instance, if Reggie came to me and I'm not a family member, but I know his wife and she's trusted, and I'm just using your wife because I mean, yeah,
Mhm.
wife,
Right.
but somebody that's trusted, and I'm like, yo, I think you're a close friend, somebody you think that can pull that person
Right.
and and connecting them with somebody that tried to do it themselves before,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
somebody that can help them say, yo, I literally know where you've been,
Right.
Yeah.
I know where you
Danielle,
are.
Danielle, since you're talking about connection, may I add this? Because I
Sure.
think sometimes we forget about this. I hear more and more and more suicides in the realm of children.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And all of what we just, oppression, depression, and all that other kind of stuff, that will go over a child's head. So being connected to your child, whether it be
Right.
parent,
Absolutely.
auntie, or whatever you consider yourself, watch those things. I'm a
Yes.
dad of a 15-year-old daughter. She thinks she cute and the God's gift to
She is cute.
the earth.
Don't do her.
Uh,
Exactly. She is cute.
that being said, though, every once in a while, I'll just say to
Check
her
her.
on the
Hmm.
ride to work,
Hmm.
"You good?
Yep. There you go. Checking.
Um, anything that we need to talk about?" I said because
Yeah.
and guess what? And even before let her answer, and usually it's nothing, but I always let her know that no matter what it is,
She good.
no matter how bad it
Yep.
is, no matter how bad you feel about it, I promise you, the Father has you. I'm going somewhere with that.
Go somewhere after we do the other
um,
one. Yes,
the
but that's
the
good right there.
Father has you because it's the will of your Father that you are not only successful academically and financially and all of that, but I want you to be a whole person.
A whole person.
A
Say that
whole person.
again.
And and it's my job as the Father who brought you here to ensure that I be a catalyst or a venue through which your wholeness is made. So,
Yes.
and I wanted to put that out there with our young people and our children, and that is, let's make sure that that's why I one of my youth messages to parents is, after a certain time in your walk with God, people say I'm going through. Well, my question, my pull to you is come on through.
Right.
Because there's a child needing you to come through. Are
Yeah.
y'all
Right,
following me?
right, right.
If we've been saved 30, 40 years and our testimony is still, Lord, I don't know how, or Lord, in other words, we're still, don't get me wrong, you're going to always go through something. But what
Right.
I'm saying is we ought to mature in our ability to get through it. And so that's why, again, that depression area, that middle ground is important. When that devil is with you, you better stop locking arms with the enemy
Yeah.
and get away from that demonic, depressing spirit that will keep you from seeing. Because remember, and this, I wrote this down, Danielle, when you mentioned generational curses. I said,
Uh-huh.
with generational curses, and this is what I wrote down. Generational curses ride on the back of those that carry generational purses. What do I
Ooh.
mean by that is
Ooh,
because those
ooh,
people who carry
come on.
it,
D-
those people,
Oh my
those
God.
people who carry it, may not operate in it, but they got a satchel. Lord have mercy. They got a
Ah!
satchel. They got a purse that they keep stuff in. That's why That's why you got to make sure, and I'm gonna throw this in and let go of the floor, and that is this. I ministered a message one time called beware of.
Oh,
You got to stop dealing with these folk who live on dead stuff. Once you want these people who don't want to see you already at the edge of committing suicide, I don't need. If I got a headache, I need the person with the aspirin, not with another headache.
right.
You see what I'm saying? So you need to get with somebody who can, and you talked about that connection. Our young people, stay with them, encourage them. These young, and when I say young people, I mean that literally. I'm talking 5, 6 year olds. Let them
Yes.
know they're important. Let them know that God has plan and God has will and God has a desired plan that they would be prosperous and they have the intelligence to make it. They have the will to make it. Stay with them, stay on them, push them into a place of success. Because see, the devil is crazy. He ain't stupid, but he crazy. And what I mean by that is he will oppress your child. He will depress your child. And guess what? He will possess your child if you are not careful. So I'm here to let you know that we need to make sure that connection is not. And let me say this, we need each other. People,
Right.
believers, we need each other. I need Journey. I need Danielle. I need these people in my life who understand what it means to be where I've been. But guess what? Also has the testimony that there will be victory after this. In fact, there will be victory in this. That's what I wanted you to know. It'll be victory in this. So my point is, those connections are so vitally important. I've been a youth ministry for almost 30 years now, and I'm telling you, young people. Sometimes I've had to ask the question, "What in the world?" When I was 11 years old, I wanted me another 10 speed. Or I wanted me, you know what I'm saying? I was looking for the 9 liters at the store. You know, that kind of stuff was going on when I was 11. But to think at 11 years old that you're thinking about killing yourself, that's the kind of stuff that's happening.
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff that's happening. And guess what? New pair of Jordans is not going to do it.
Right.
New pair, huh? It's just not going to do it. A new pair of Jordans, because Anthony Bourdain, y'all remember him from CNN? Anthony Bourdain, he did what everybody wants to do. He traveled the world eating all different kinds of food and didn't even have to pay for it. But guess what? It wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. And I could go on down a list of people who we thought were the most successful in their field, had all the money that I can't even probably made in a month what I've made in the last 5 years. But guess what? They still thought it was not enough and wanted to murder themselves. And that's the whole idea. We need to stay connected.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's funny. I was trying to talk. My producer had me muted. Thanks, Journey.
But I wanna
Wait,
comment on
wait.
the.
Before you comment, I'm gonna say the last thing because help them connect and
Oh
stay
yeah.
connected was number 5. So that's pretty much the very, very same thing that Reggie said. But before you start talking, I am going to also bring to the stage
Wow.
Ricky Gilliard. I'm gonna
Uh-huh.
bring him in because listen, when I tell y'all this guy right here, I mean, he has the questions, but as when I say a teacher as
Uh-huh.
well, Reggie, listen, like you know how I be talking about you teaching, bruh.
All right.
This dude right here is a teacher of the word as well. So I wanted to bring in
Wonderful.
him in as well because he thought about a story. And so I want him to share the story while you were talking, Reggie. He thought about a story. So I told him I
Uh-huh.
wanted him to share the story and I wanted him to stay on as well after you share your story. Stay on for a minute. But I want him to share the story. So hey Ricky, thank you for coming in. And
All right.
you had the floor. Share your story.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. So thank you for allowing me to be a part. As you guys were talking, especially when Reggie just was talking about young people, um, I worked for 8.5 years as a behavior interventionist for
Uh-huh.
Horry County Schools. I worked for a school called the Therapeutic Learning Center. So what our school did was we actually dealt with emotionally distressed children from all around our county. And when I say emotionally distressed, I'm talking about children who were unable to survive at the alternative school or any other school that we had. So there was another level of education being given to them at the Therapeutic Learning Center. Um, and so I dealt with kids every single day who had suicidal ideations, who had emotional trauma in the severest of ways, from ages from kindergarten age all the way through high school. Most of the kids that came to our school were there for the rest of their school career. Um, and so anyway, there was this story that our principal used to tell us at the end of every school year, the beginning of every school year. He would tell this story about these two friends. There was this kid named Johnny and another kid named Timmy. And Timmy wasn't cool. He wasn't popular in school. And so it was the end of the school year. And Timmy had gone to school and he was clearing out his locker or whatever, taking things home for the summer. And on his way walking home from school, a group of kids came up and they were picking on him. They started knocking his books around, kicking him around. And Johnny saw this and Johnny ran over there and told them to stop. And after he did that, he helped Timmy pick up his books and he walked with Timmy home, helped Timmy take all his books home. When he got there, Timmy's mom was so thankful. She invited Johnny into the house and they had dinner together that day. And that summer, they spent the entire summer having fun together, playing, and they became best friends. In high school, Johnny was still pretty popular and cool. Timmy had become more popular and actually was the valedictorian at his school.
Oh, wow.
And so on the day of them graduating, Timmy gets up to have a speech. And Timmy stands up in front of the whole community talking about how happy he was to be graduating, motivating his friends. And then he tells the story of how when he was in the 8th grade, he had decided he was going to kill himself. And he had thought it
Wow.
out. He had thought it out to the point where he said he didn't want his mom and dad to have to come to school and clear out his locker after it happened.
Wow.
So he went and cleared out his locker, took
Right.
everything out of his locker and was taking it home so his parents wouldn't have to do it. And that was the day he met his best friend, Johnny.
Oh
Wow.
And
my.
because of that relationship with Johnny,
Right.
it completely changed his life to the
Wow.
point that he was the class valedictorian of their senior class.
Awesome.
And so
Wow.
when you talk about connections,
Extension.
especially when it comes to young people,
Right.
Yeah.
I think that we can't overstate that.
Right.
Right.
It is
Right.
vitally important.
Right.
One of the key things that we can notice in somebody who is suicidal is that isolationism. They
Yes.
they try to pull
Right.
away from everything
Right.
and everybody. When
Right.
you
Hmm.
see that, like Danielle said, it's okay to go and talk to them,
Right.
ask them what they're thinking about, and if
Right.
that
Right.
doesn't work, just be there
Be
Right.
there.
and it
Right.
could make a difference. And so, yeah, I thought about that story while you were talking, and I just thought that it might help or motivate somebody else. So, just wanted to say that.
That's good
That's
stuff.
Absolutely.
that's
That's
a
good
great
stuff.
story. That's good. And that's very powerful. I man, just wow. I'm stuck right there.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
good.
And I was saying, as I was listening to you guys, so there's a difference between having suicidal thoughts and ideations versus having a suicide plan. And
Right.
so when you talk to a licensed counselor, a lot of times they'll have questionnaires and different things prepared where they'll talk to a person and try to help them gauge where they are
That's good.
on that spectrum.
That's good.
And
Yeah.
it's
That's good.
very important because a lot of people have suicidal ideations.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that they can ask these questions and talk to you, sometimes it makes you feel okay. I'm not by myself. Other
Right.
people think and feel the way I'm feeling,
Right.
but when you get to the point where you start saying, all right, well, I got this bottle of pills and I'm gonna take all of them, that now you have a plan.
You got a
And so
plan.
Right.
that's a different level. When
A
you have
good
a
plan.
suicide plan,
Right.
my daddy got a gun in the other room, I know how to load it.
Right.
Now you got
Right.
a
Oh,
plan.
Jesus.
And so that's we have to stop people before they get to the
Get
point
to the
of
plan.
right. So suicidal
Woo.
ideations and thoughts, we can't make people, and so in our community, we'll make people feel bad about that. What's something
Right.
Right.
wrong with you? And
Exactly.
that's why we don't tell nobody.
Right.
We
Exactly.
don't want nobody to think we crazy, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. We don't want that.
Right.
And so, yeah, it's okay if you have those thoughts and feelings, talk to somebody. You're
Right.
not by
Absolutely.
yourself.
You're not.
You're
Absolutely.
not.
Right. Right.
Man, this is good. Y'all don't understand. This is so good. This is helping me. Even the information that's being given, that we are talking about. Like I've been picking up, like Reggie, you said, in regards to like the generational curses, like, you carrying it, like
Mhm.
that in itself is not that. I I ain't gonna say it the way you said it, but I know what you said and I got it. And put it like that.
Okay.
So, all right, just so
But don't ask me to
FYI,
say it again. I probably can't.
you probably can't, but I promise you, I got what you said. I got what you said. So it's so true, because that a lot of times, even with that whole generational thing, that we're thinking that, okay, we got it together, or it's they had my this person, yeah, it's in the bloodline. It's in the bloodline because that person is carrying it,
Right.
and until that person, we just me and Journey just had, when you said it,
Just talked
that's
about
why
this.
I literally almost like jumped out of my skin, because we
Yeah.
talked about it, but didn't say it the way you said it. It was just like crystal clear. It's like, that's exactly what we said for 3 hours. We was
Hmm.
talking to
Mhm.
somebody for 3 hours,
Right.
but that's
Right.
exactly what we said. Is you have to stop carrying the weight.
Right.
Yeah.
Stop it. Stop. So this is good. So we gotta ask. We gotta keep people safe. We gotta be there. Connect, connect with them, or help them get connected, and then stay connected. That story with the friend, staying connected, connecting, and was able to connect to where he at that moment was like, I got a reason to stay just a little while longer. And
Right.
it was, and
Yeah.
for me, so they got connected, right? And it was, I got a reason. All right, I'll postpone it until tomorrow. Let me see what's gonna happen. And so the connection was there, but the
Mhm.
stay, that stay
Yeah.
Right.
connected, that fifth part, to
Right.
stay
Yes.
connected. When they
Right.
stayed connected, he became his best friend for the rest of high school. And that connection, that stay,
Yeah.
saved the life.
Yeah. Danielle,
Yeah.
I hear the word. I hear the word responsibility. In other words,
Hmm.
when you find out that somebody is in a place, right, and you get connected, then make that person a place of responsibility. And when I say that, y'all know what I mean. I mean, you have a heart for them at that point. You have a
Right.
desire to understand that, gosh, this person, this young person, for goodness sakes, was on the verge of ending his life, and he has such an amazing future and an
Right.
amazing place of tomorrow that he has ignited in his heart and in his belly. And the enemy was about to influence him to take his own life, to commit self-murder.
Yeah.
But what really needs to happen is that I need to make him a responsibility to me. In other words, no, not under my watch. Journey is too, and I'm using her as an example. Journey is too beautiful, too brilliant, too anointed, etc., for me to allow any devil from any hell to influence her to go in a tub. Are you following me? So
Right. Right.
there's a place of responsibility, as it were, that says, okay, no, I don't talk to her every day. I don't, we don't see each other like that, or I don't even have that type of relationship. But at the same time, I also not have enough influence to say, Jern, what's going on? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You
Right.
Yeah.
good? Kind of thing. And she said, yeah, I'm good. Keep it moving. You feel what I'm saying? So find a place of responsibility, because yeah, I am my brother's keeper.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
New Jack
This is
City. Maybe I need to
no,
watch that.
no.
Am I
No.
my brother's keeper?
What?
No, Ricky,
What?
don't join in. Do not join in. No, no. New Jersey. No, 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 no. But yeah, am I my brother's keeper? Yeah, pew,
Yeah.
they're gone.
But
But
you know what? But I love that. I love that what you just said. I love the word responsibility.
yeah,
Right.
When you break that word down, the root word is respond.
Good.
You're
Good.
not
Yes.
responsible
Right.
for things that you can't respond to.
come
But
Right.
if you
on,
can respond, you
Right.
have a responsibility
to
That's
to
do
good stuff.
something.
respond.
That's good stuff.
Yes,
Right.
That's
Right.
good
So
stuff.
Right.
so yeah, people
Absolutely.
try to hold you responsible for stuff you couldn't respond to. That's something different. But if it's
Right.
something that you can respond
Right.
to,
Right.
then you got a responsibility to respond to it.
Right.
So
you have
yeah,
that
Speaking
that
of
that, that
sin,
was a
that's
good
what makes
word,
it a
sir.
sin. When you don't, to him that knows to do good and do it not, To
Come on.
him, it is a sin.
Did
It's a
you
sin
just
when you
see
don't
it?
respond. Oh, sorry, I had to throw a little scripture in there. Sorry,
No,
but
that's good. That's
that's where
good.
the
And
sin
Ricky,
comes.
Ricky's so he already just stop it, stop it. And it's good because once you respond, once you got that responsibility and you start to respond, you need to follow up.
Yes.
Right,
Don't just leave
right,
it hanging. And that's what that friend was looking for. You responded. I got a response. Okay, there was somebody that he connected. There was a response. Are you going to continue then to follow up with me? Are
right,
you going to
Be
continue
consistent.
to talk to me?
Yeah.
Are you going to be consistent? Are you going to stay there? Are you going to be there for me? Are you going to are you got to I got to know it's okay to have
Yes.
right.
this problem now that
Yeah.
I know that it's okay to have it. Even and I can't remember. Did you say he didn't say anything to the guy, right? He didn't. The guy didn't find out until graduation.
He
So
had no idea.
so can you
Wow,
Wow.
wow,
imagine? Can you
wow.
imagine the feeling of that? Like I don't know. I wasn't at the graduation, but my goodness, if I was the friend
Right,
and I go back,
Man, what?
suppose, because in my head, I'm like, suppose I didn't say anything. Suppose
Exactly.
I saw XYZ going, I said it. Suppose I saw it going on and then turned around and I did nothing. I
Did
did
nothing. Yeah.
absolutely nothing.
right,
Then you can imagine, because this is what happens to some individuals. Then you put that up, that other individual falls into a place of now feeling guilt
Mm-hmm.
about something and all of that, and then the devil, here go the
A
subtleness of
repeated
the enemy,
cycle.
a repeated cycle, and now he's going to be so subtle and say, well,
right,
if you had
right.
said something, if you, and then now we start, and that we, Lord, that's a whole nother message. That let me, I did my tuning.
I did
That
my
Mhm.
tuning.
I did my tuning. That was it. I did my
Listen.
y'all. This is good. I am so thankful and so grateful that you guys were able to jump on and you all shared your stories and shared your own traumatic spots
Right.
in your lives. Your we got somebody trying to submerge themselves underwater to go
Lord
out.
have
We got
mercy.
somebody taking the bottles of pill to
Right.
go out. We got somebody praying and that's the prayers of the right. You Reggie, were you
I'm
righteous?
glad he didn't hear that prayer.
Right.
That's all because I was about to say.
Right.
I just
That
started
didn't
saying
make
the
it past
prayers
the
of the
ceiling.
righteous of it.
I know,
Reggie,
right?
were you righteous?
That didn't make it past the
It
Because
ceiling.
didn't
the
avail.
prayers, praying that God just take me out. Like I didn't try
Yeah.
to physically do it,
Lord ain't
but
Yeah.
mean that. Lord ain't
I
mean
know, right?
that.
Right. So I mean, but being able to share in this space,
Yeah.
and to be able to share to help some other people. And I've been looking at the comments. There are people on there that in the comments they're saying it like, yeah, I was there. I was there myself. I got counseling. Those type of things to let you know we're not this community, our community. We're not alone, and we should never, ever, ever, ever think it bad or think we're quacks or whatever nuts,
Right.
whatever the case may be, if we go seek counseling because it
Right.
is necessary. I said to my husband the other day, a couple of weeks ago, or whatever, I was like, matter of fact, it was after the last podcast we did. I was like, I need counseling. Like I felt myself like right back there, like whoa, whoa, whoa. And he was like, well, well, why? Not in a negative sense, not to say, girl, like you don't need to be doing it. It wasn't that. He was like, wait, what just happened? And I was like, I feel myself slipping, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
like I need to
Mhm.
talk about it. I need some
Right.
help right here. And he was like, oh, okay. Like, let's go. I
Right.
was like, I want to go by myself. I don't want you to go with me. But
Mhm.
yeah, because sometimes you need somebody to go with you, sometimes you don't.
Right.
Right.
And
Right.
Right.
so I was
Right.
like, I feel like this is a one-on-one thing that I need to do. And he's like, good. And it's good to have people that will be there to support you.
Right.
Yes.
Reggie said it earlier about the negativities and having people all these negative stuff around you and people that are going to be naysayers or always got something that's going to be something to put you down. Get rid of the negatives. Like
Right.
don't find yourself someone positive, somebody that you trust, somebody that's going to be able to benefit, to uplift you,
Right.
and to be able to carry it,
Right.
carry it, carry you through it, walk with you
Mm-hmm.
through it, not take on the burden. All right.
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 Because that's
Right.
Right.
when I say carry it, I'm not, because I ain't
Right.
trying to pick up, I got too much heaviness on myself to be picking up
Right.
somebody else. But being able to be responsible and respond and hear it to know that, hey, I can carry you, I can walk you through, I can walk with you, I got you, you know.
Yes.
So thank you guys. So, listen, thank you guys so much. I just love y'all. I have a special relationship with each one of y'all and y'all families. Well, Manishi Maniso. So I gotta sort of kind of have a relationship with her, right? But with
Not
the
sort of, kind
Gilliards,
of.
sort of kind of, but with the Gilliards, I mean, love you guys, family red, you know, love you guys, man,
Right.
love y'all, family. Thank y'all so much for coming on again. I really, really appreciate it. And those of you, hey, listen, it's on here. Suicide hotline. If you need me to say it, if you're recording it because you can't write, the suicide hotline number is 1-800-273 8255. That's 1-800-273-8255. Pick up the phone, call the number if you need the assistance. Please do so. And or seek a licensed therapist. Please talk to someone that's licensed to be able to give you the help, the assistance, the aid that you may need in order to make it through the day, in order to get through this. As Reggie said earlier, he said it. Let me see if I can remember what he said. Suicide, a permanent suicide is a permanent act, or for a temporary
Oh,
situation. A
temporary.
Situation.
permanent
Permanent solution.
solution for a
Right.
temporary situation.
Oh,
That's
that's
what
what
he
I
said.
said.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
really, Reggie.
permanent
That's what he
solution
said.
for
He
a
said
temporary
it's a
situation.
permanent solution for a temporary situation. You do not have
Yeah,
to stay in this space.
Right.
Yes.
Trauma is big. Trauma is out there, and trauma comes in all forms, but you don't have to stay in this space. So
Right.
we want to assist and help you as much as we can to get out of the space that you're in, so you can be restored, so you can heal, so you can be made whole, and so then that you can help someone else and pay it forward.
and
So
Absolutely.
again, thank you guys. Thank you all for joining in. Remember, like, share, follow, go. If you are not a subscriber of the YouTube channel, please, 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 please go over now and subscribe to the YouTube channel, which is Danielle Lee underscore the brand, right? I think that's what it is. Danielle Lee underscore the brand. Go to the YouTube channel and describe. Or if you click on this link tree link, you see all of the actual links for the platform, and you can go there. Thank you guys again. You guys are wonderful. Thank you all so much. Next week on the ninth, this is the 19th. What is that? The 26th. I think it is the
Yes.
26th.
26.
The 26th, we will be back, and Sean Felder will facilitate. So we'll be going back to some information in the book. Shame is not to blame.
what
It is not too late to get the book, to get a copy of it, so you can be with us in the book to go through some more of this trauma in the trauma series. Again, thank you so much, Reggie, Ricky, Journey. Thank you all. I love you guys. Until next time, Danielle speaks.